guys? Welcome to the Just Pearly Things YouTube channel. And today I have two special guests on my channel. Introduce yourself to the people.
Well, I'm Stirling Cooper. I'm an award-winning porn star. I'm also a former high-class male companion. And these days I teach guys how to use their junk properly and how to make sure it performs the way they want it to.
I'm Justin Waller. I have a YouTube channel about business, mindset, and from time to time I'll speak about women when forced. So, Jay Waller on YouTube, Jay Waller7 on Instagram, and Waller7J on Twitter.
So, tell me, how do you guys do with the hoes?
How do we do with those?
Yeah, like, well?
What does that mean?
Yeah, like how
With ladies?
Yeah, like with the ladies. Are you guys like lady
lady.
killers?
I'm a virgin. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're a virgin.
Yeah.
I'm the world's only virgin porn
Okay,
star.
well this is so good because
So, I don't know if you know this, but Sterling and I do Bible study and pray every night.
every night?
Every night.
What do you guys learn?
Every night.
What are like
Well,
the key?
I'll tell you for a start, I learnt what the word Peter means on my last Bible study session.
Yes, Peter is an
Peter.
American word for penis.
Well, no, not in the Bible. In the Bible, Peter means a rock.
Yeah, rock hard. That's how it got Peter.
Exactly.
Well, we had very, very different experiences. Anyways, so I feel like you guys are lying. I think there's a cap.
I don't know how she gets that impression.
I'm sensing
I'm
some.
almost offended, actually. a
Yeah,
little bit.
you can be offended.
By
So
this,
I'm sensing some cap. So I decided today that I'm gonna show you what I grew up on. So I did 12 years of Catholic school.
Okay.
And every year we saw chastity speakers.
Interesting.
Now, especially for Stirling, the porn thing.
That would ruin my career if I went full chastity.
Now, but you could maybe he's gonna sell you on it.
Well, let's see. He looks like a charming man. I'm sure he's very convincing, but I don't think he's going to be that convincing.
But you know, it's funny. I actually super resonate with this because growing up in the South, the Bible Belt, I mean, man, it was nothing for us to get, either thrown into a church camp or be in Sunday school and have a situation where guilt and fear was thrown at us to make us feel guilty and bad and dirty for things that we naturally feel.
Okay.
And so that's kind of a bad place to be, especially like going through adolescence.
It's terrible.
Do you think that chastity talks are good for women?
Ooh,
Do you feel like
that's
they
a good
should-
point.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Don't you guys like the low body count bitches?
Yeah, we
as well?
do. We do.
Isn't that
Yeah,
your
I
favorite
do.
type of
I do.
bitch? Or is that
Yeah,
just...
we do. But you know what? I think it's also fair to throw that question right back at you and give me an honest opinion. Do you really feel the urge to sleep with a bunch of men?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
No.
See.
Because your testosterone's what, 1/10 of what ours is? Right? So if it was up to you, you would just sleep with one man, and the man would be worth your time, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't be looking for sex elsewhere unless you needed some sort of validation.
Right.
I think that, because we haven't even watched this yet.
Yeah.
But going back to what Justin was saying, right? They're going to emphasize guilt and things like this a lot. When it comes to women, it's not the chastity that they need to really be focusing on. It's the how to identify a good man who is going to be with them for a while.
Yep.
Because the chastity isn't the problem. It's that they're a shit picker. They keep making terrible choices again.
Right, yeah, it's not because they want to go sleep with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, it's because they keep looking for a good
Right.
dude.
They're looking for the right dude, and in 2022, it's kind of a prerequisite that you have to put it out. I tell you, what this guy's going to talk about is he's going to try to stop this with words, whereas in the past they just stopped it with violence. If you had a husband in the medieval times and you cheated on him, well, you could bet your ass if you got caught,
Yeah, you did.
checkmate, it's over.
And
So that kind of kept it.
Do you,
Well, there's
should
that.
we go back to that?
well,
Is that
it's not just that
No.
though. It's not just that. It's that, and we have birth control.
right?
Birth control was the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
swing,
Right,
Because
yeah.
there was some
Somebody
kind
had to
of
protect you or you would die.
Then there was consequences
Right.
for sleeping around as a woman.
Right,
Right.
exactly, yeah.
So that's why the chastity stuff was probably more important to be drilled into dudes back then, so not every girl's walking around being knocked up all the time.
Which, in my opinion, is the leading reason that women will get an abortion. They get pregnant by the wrong dude.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've said
Yeah.
this. I'm like, I'm sorry. If a bitch really likes you,
She's
you
not
can't, you
giving up the
cannot
baby,
convince
bro.
her to.
not
She will
giving
be
up.
carrying your
That's
seed.
why. That's why.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's a lot of and especially in America, there's a lot of single mothers walking around. They kept the baby
Right.
because the dude who knocked her up
Yeah.
They want to keep that
Yeah.
seed.
But just
But now they're looking for some other guy to raise the baby.
exactly,
You know?
exactly. No, I completely agree with that. And when that guy has that abundance of choice, that's what kind of leaves her single, unless she's kind of in a place where she can accept the world for what it is, which really leads us to this subject, which you didn't tell us about, young lady.
Well, that's what we're going to be doing later.
Yeah.
what we're gonna do later.
Different topic.
Different topic.
Yeah, but it's kind of in line with the topic.
But it
Yeah.
goes perfectly
Yeah.
into what we're going to be talking about later.
I have a question. When you're talking about like women picking men and we like pick poorly, okay, right? Right before. So I have a theory that every guy I've told this to, tells me is bad. Like I shouldn't do this.
All right.
But if a
Okay.
guy is too hot, I reject him. Because I feel like he just wants me for sex. Like
If
I
he's
feel,
too hot.
Yeah, because if I feel like he's out of my league.
I think
like,
that's
feel
super fair.
I feel like he won't stay.
Yeah,
So like,
but do you feel that don't take this the wrong way, but do you feel that way because of how you perceive your own looks?
yeah, probably. But like, I think it's like based on results. So if a guy that I think like could get a modeling, I've never been offered a modeling contract, but if a guy.
So if a
that,
guy was so good looking, you're like, he should be dating a Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's hitting on me.
Yeah, I'm
You're like
"Mm."
questioning it.
I think he's like just looking for sex.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I fumbled a bag though once because this man told me he would have like married me later, and then he actually ended up marrying like the next girl. She kind of looked like me. I was like, oh, I fumbled that bag.
There you go.
So I kind of, but I feel like in most cases like that's kind of a good rule.
So
But,
what's
I
the
will-
question again? Say the question.
do you think that's a bad
rule.
mating strategy?
For
What-
a
what?
chick.
For a chick.
If he's too good looking-
he's too good looking, he's probably just using
He's
you
just
for
using you for
sex.
sex. I will jump in here real quickly and say there's a whole lot of men who are extremely good looking with low self-esteem. So there's a lot of guys who are extremely
We
good
actually
looking.
know a guy like that.
Yes.
Oh really?
Yeah,
What's his
there's
There's a lot of
number?
dudes who are
What's his
extremely good
number?
looking, right? But so what you're actually saying,
Yeah.
you don't, the kind of guy you're actually referring to
Yeah.
is kind of like me and him.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
we're confident and cocky and good looking, but it's probably a fair-ish rule with a guy like us, maybe. I don't
think
know.
it's a fair rule.
But if he's just straight up good looking, but if he's kind of a bit like unsure of himself and not a super cocky bastard.
It takes a while for you to get that though.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you would have long slept with him before you realized that. But what I would say though is you were substantially smarter than the average woman. Because the average woman, what happens is she thinks she sleeps with, let's say, a Chad. She thinks she is now at the level of a Chad.
Yeah.
Whereas a woman that's intelligent knows that son of a bitch is only going to sleep with me on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And he's going to text me at 9:30.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like a girl that's not as intelligent should be like, well, obviously, I can get this, or if she's getting attention. I was talking to a girl, and she was like, yeah, I know this girl that's married. She's getting all this attention on Instagram, and she made the statement to me that her husband better get his shit together. What that dumb woman doesn't understand is they will take the milk, but they will not buy the cow.
No,
Yeah, that's
You know what
what-
I'm saying? They're not going to
Yeah.
buy the cow.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna
Right.
She's not gonna find a replacement husband.
No,
like that.
No,
Sure.
because she ain't shit, bro. She
Yeah.
is not shit. In fact,
She'll
she's
find
underweight.
replacement penis.
Yeah.
Replacement penis is very different from
Yeah.
replacement husband.
Yeah.
And that's what I always laugh at. It's like I'll have girls tell me like, "Oh, I get all this attention from men." I'm like, "No shit, you're a girl.
Yeah.
And you're talking to me.
Like whoopsie doo.
Yeah.
So you're a
It's-
minimum.
You're a girl
8.
on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
It's
a girl.
default that you get attention.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it gasses girls' egos because I'm like they give attention to everybody. Like you're not special.
And you know what?
Like-
Like we don't give attention to everybody.
Yeah, I don't.
It's the dudes who don't have any options that give attention to absolutely
Yeah.
everybody.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I think.
Well, I'll tell you what. Would be
I think you'd be surprised.
I think would be a hilarious episode to go through some of your message requests.
Oh
on your
gosh, I
Instagram.
could show
Oh,
you
yeah.
them.
That would be hilarious.
No, I'll tell you, it'd be fucking hilarious.
But they must go ahead.
Go through our Facebook, our Instagram messages from women. It's
Oh, we could
wild.
do vice versa. Let's see
That's
who's
a
at
different show.
worst.
It's a different show.
We're-
Different show.
Next time we're back in London.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Jason Everett.
Okay.
So the backstory
Looks like a nerd.
He does.
is that we're gonna go like, what time is it? 7:19. We could do like 10 minutes in. So he did they both came to my high school and they did a chastity speech.
So it's him and his wife.
Yeah, and his wife. And
Okay.
you're gonna see the story. So
Top 10 reasons you should never have kids, okay? Now, reason number one, it says, if you have kids, a large part of your life will be focused on your relationship with your child rather than yourself. Ooh, scary. And then it goes on. Is if you don't have kids, you won't be exposed to germs your kids bring home from daycare. That's right. Microbes are easily transmitted. They can be found on toys and blankets, and parents who can get sick from their kids, you could get aches, pains, flu-like symptoms, and diarrhea. What? I mean, look, it's true, okay? Like, our kids, like, bring home Ebola in their lunchbox. But, you know, it's good, man. It builds up your immune system. But it goes on, and it says, if you don't have kids, you can be alone anytime you want. If you don't have time for yourself, you'll lose yourself. But not having kids mean you won't lose yourself. You can play tennis, do yoga, or whatever you want all the time. Now, if this weren't so hilarious, it'd be completely depressing, because you'll notice at the root of this is a false notion of freedom. But the church in her wisdom teaches us that no, you don't.
How do you guys feel about, like, kids? Like, what do you, like, the left, because he's talking about, like, the left, like, that's what they preach. Like,
this is like
Yeah,
the kind of anti-life agenda that you get from a lot of SJWs and liberals and the left, which I don't think I'm actually going to agree with what this guy goes to in his conclusion.
But I agree with him right
But
now.
I agree with this. I do agree with this
because he's basically talking shit about what they're saying. So I agree.
Children are fantastic.
Yeah,
and
so
it's
like
like
family, by the way.
Yeah, family's great.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't. I mean, being around the kind of men that we hang out with now, like, has made me really, really appreciate, you know, the importance of legacy.
Yeah.
Especially as a man, the importance of, because a woman can you can have a baby. Like, we have to find someone to give us a baby. You know what I'm saying? So for men, like, legacy and, you know, knowing that child is yours, that's your bloodline, it's super, super important, and must be super fulfilling. I've not had kids yet, but it must be super fulfilling for anyone who does. And that's why I think we kind of, and I grew up with this too. We demonized, like, women getting pregnant and having kids at a younger age. Not saying you should go around knocking up, you know, underage girls and stuff. But it's like my best friend, his wife is, you know, 18, and they just had their first baby girl.
Oh wow.
Which means he got her pregnant at 17.
But
I don't know about that.
it was totally consensual. The whole thing was completely consensual. It was actually her idea.
Well, wait a second. Did you have sex in high school?
No. I was a virgin until halfway through college.
Lame. I had plenty of sex in high school.
I was watching these speeches. What do you mean?
So they worked.
Yeah.
They did work.
I was afraid. I don't.
And that's my point. Fear.
Yeah.
Fire and brimstone
That will do it.
has done more to scare children than the boogeyman.
You know what? I think Fire and Brimstone, this kind of stuff scares women more than it scares men.
We should be.
Honestly,
Actually, you know what? You know what though? I think primarily almost men can't help it. You remember being 15 to 17 and that physical urge?
Yeah.
To like, dude, you would like put the ugliest woman in the world in front of you at that age.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I remember like just sitting
You're
there.
not thinking straight.
You sit there in like English class and someone's reading a fucking poem and you get a boner.
Yeah.
For no reason.
And you know what that reminds me? So I grew up deer hunting a good bit, and there's something called the rut. And the rut is where the biggest bucks in the woods, which are typically the smartest ones, the ones that stay nocturnal, that's how they get so big. During the rut, they become so stupid that they'll run right out in front of your deer stand, and that's generally how they get killed.
Oh, wow.
Because they are thinking in one direction. And that's kind of like that feeling when you, especially in adolescence, you know, that a man, it comes over a man in a completely different way than it could ever come over you.
Yeah.
So it's not even fair to really compare the feeling that a man gets versus the feeling that a woman gets.
It's kind of like trying to compare the like maternal instinct in a woman to that in a man.
Right.
It's totally not. They're totally two different things.
Yeah, it's primal law versus strategy is really what we're talking about right now. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, the feeling that a man gets is the reason that he will go so far down the totem pole to sleep with that girl. You know what I'm saying? That is
the whales?
yeah. Well, that girl's like that man and that woman are not like in the same league, right?
Yeah.
But he will go down there to do it because of the wiring of the man.
Yeah.
She Or let's say you were talking about like I won't sleep with that guy because I know he's not going to stay because it's going to mess my notch count up. That's actually strategy.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
you see what I'm saying? That's strategy.
Because you're still attracted to him.
You're still attracted to him. He's
Well,
a 1% guy, right?
Yeah.
But you don't trust that he's going to stay.
No.
So you don't want to screw your notch count up for this guy.
Yeah.
Well, not even. I wouldn't even say. I would say it's more of like the alpha widow thing. I didn't realize what this was.
Which is also strategy.
Right. Yeah. I never.
Because you could fall in love with a man and then leave him because you're thinking about Chad.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I meant like I didn't realize what this meant before I started reading The Rational Male and stuff. But I used to always say, "Oh, I can't go for that guy. He would
Shout out to
ruin."
Rolo.
Shout out.
Save some lives. Save some lives, OG.
I would always say like I can't go for that guy. He would ruin me. But I realized like that's just like primal. Like I don't want to be alpha widowed.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another thing that happens, like strategy-wise, is I know for a fact that women that would normally sleep with me on the first date don't sometimes.
Yeah.
As a strategy of like, because all girls, they're like, if I sleep with them on the first date, I know that if I were not me, a lesser version of myself, she would have sex with me.
Let me ask you this then. I know I do this. Do you ever like play yourself down deliberately?
No, I've never done that.
I do that.
Manipulative fuck. No, I appreciate it.
No, because
I
like,
appreciate it.
like if I like if she finds out all about like I don't know like
Yeah.
how much money I'm making, my lifestyle, blah blah blah
Yeah, I
blah.
completely get it.
Like then it can have that effect.
I guess,
but if I deliberately don't talk about that,
I think that's a
and,
good.
and I'm
like,
just
that's a good-
charming.
I think it's
if I'm
good.
just handsome and charming, then
Yeah.
she.
I think that's good. I think the problem is now it's just like it's too written all over you, or it'd be too written all over me.
These days, yeah.
You know, you turn up in a custom suit, and you're wearing that watch.
It's pretty hard.
It like, dude, she knows. Plus, she's been on your Instagram. Like how
Yeah,
many
that-
countries?
yeah, like, now it's kinda
like,
hard.
So it's like the same thing that you're using to lure her in is telling on you.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So I don't. I've never thought to do that, but
You're not a manipulative fuck like me, apparently.
I'm excited.
I actually just like the
Maybe
truth.
maybe you guys will be chased after this speech. We'll see.
But the church in her wisdom teaches us that no, you don't lose yourself when you give yourself away. No, a man,
pause it
a
right
woman,
there. I want to say something to that.
Okay.
It bothers the fuck out of me how people blame their lack of ability to create a lifestyle for themselves on their fucking children.
Yeah, so
Oh, I agree.
It is fucking that is clown shit.
Yeah.
Like if you can't have a kid and still have a wonderful life, you yourself are trash. It has nothing to do with your child.
My parents. I'm like from like a 1% family. My dad has 10 kids, and like
Nice,
they,
bad boy, big G.
Yeah, well they adopted 3. So
Cool.
yeah, my parents like they were able to do pretty much everything they wanted. It's just about balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time management, balance, like not being a lazy sack of shit.
Yeah.
My dad's the hardest working like
See?
person. Yeah.
Why am I not surprised to hear that?
Yeah.
I believe that fully.
will only find yourself through the sincere gift of yourself. You want to know if you're free? Your freedom is best measured by your capacity to love. Anything that impairs my ability to love, my pride, my lust, my ego, any addictions, to that extent, I'm not free. This is why Pope Francis also, in his exhortation, said this. He said, freedom and fidelity are not opposed to one another. We don't lose our freedom when we give it away. It exists for the sake of love. This is why so many men out there, unfortunately,
I actually completely agree with him saying that. Because I think you've probably experienced this as well, just when you hang out with women, and we live in Miami, we're in big cities and stuff. When you're with a woman who, let's say, has a very, very high notch count, right? Her ability to fall in love is just so drastically diminished. But if I, meet up with a woman who's had, a body count of like 2, well, she falls in love with me very, very quickly. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a great,
get that.
because that, for me, as much of a philanderer as I am, that makes me want to commit to her. Because she's giving me that love so quickly.
Let me challenge you on that though. He's talking to men and women right here, and when he talks about freedom from lust, that directly contradicts everything that we just said.
Yeah,
So
I don't think men can ever break free of lust.
I honestly don't think so either. And even a guy like this is lying to himself, or you'll find out in 15 years he's cheated on
his
he's got
wife.
a ring of prostitutes.
Yeah.
So in Baton Rouge,
that definitely will have happened.
in Baton Rouge, there's this huge church called Healing Place. It's like 6 Flags over Jesus, bro. I mean, big boy church. Like these huge mega churches that make all this money.
Yep.
and there's a preacher there, and the secretary had to tell the whole congregation. And that's not just a one-time thing, bro. Like, priests are fucking little boys, but more than anything, bro, you're hearing about them having sex with hookers or having affairs and all this other stuff, bro. These dudes, it's like, look at how big that church is. A lot of everything this man is saying, it's the Jesus version of being a rock star. These preachers get famous, bro.
Oh, yeah.
They're on billboards.
And I guarantee there's women in that crowd who want to fuck that man.
I guarantee there's women in the crowd he has fucked. And then he repented.
I used to say that like churches make hoes because basically as a girl you can do whatever you want and they still promise you a husband at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then I'm
do
like,
what you want and just say you're sorry.
Yeah. And then I was like, and then on top of that, the preacher's the one fucking them. So like,
Right. I'll tell you a
interesting.
I'll tell you a little information. And one thing I'd say to the guys when it comes to setting frame, if I'm seeing a girl, I will not let her go to church without me. Because church is nothing more than a Sunday morning club. It's a club, bro.
I don't think that.
No, it is.
Like,
bro,
yeah.
there's more like, listen, my mother, let me just clarify
okay.
how I know this. My mother cheated on my father with 2 men from church. And my father got a note from the mother of one of the men to let him know it was happening.
Damn.
Church is nothing more than the club on Sunday morning, I'm telling you, bro. In fact, think about it. When else in that week are they getting more dolled up around their husband? Or not around their husband?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go, you're working out of town, I'm going to take the kids to church in the morning, or I'm going to go to church in the morning. Praising Jesus? Bullshit. Shopping. Bullshit. Because you could have caught that shit at the crib, bro. You want to pray? There's a Bible right there. So I call bullshit. If I'm seeing a girl, you're not going to church without me. You're not. Bullshit. I'm not sorry.
I mean, you can. I don't care what you do with your hoe.
I'm just telling you. And why are we calling them hoes?
Oh, that's what I call women on my podcast.
Oh, do you?
We don't call them.
Yeah, I don't ever call
We
them
don't-
hoes,
we
man.
don't-
Not at all.
I
love women. That's another thing that these guys get. 2 major things that I think that guys get wrong
Yeah.
is that we don't appreciate and care for women.
Okay.
Which is
I think
not
that's
true.
completely so far from the truth. And then another thing is that we don't believe in settling down our family. I completely believe in family.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah,
So-
the family part, yes.
I don't.
The being like tied to one place and settling down kind of part. Like
well, it's the blue pill version of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Blue pill version of family.
we have a very different version.
Red pill
we have
version
a
of
different
family.
version of family.
And love, by the way. So,
I feel like me and you went to very different churches.
why do you say that?
Because my church is.
Well, you
filled
were a
with-
child. You didn't know what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, but I'm older now, and people just be chilling. I just went to a Catholic church. There's not young people at Catholic churches.
Bro, I have a buddy that worked at the church, and he would go up and meet this other chick that worked at the church and get his dick sucked, and he was married. I'm telling you, I know. Look, I'm not arguing with you about this. A preacher in New Orleans got caught, hired 2 prostitutes, and then filmed it. He was fucking them on the altar, and then somebody came to the church and got caught in Louisiana. Google that shit. Google it. It was like in Mandeville or some shit like that.
But that's gonna be in any
Do you need any more stories?
No,
I'm
no,
right.
no. But I'm saying. Can you let me talk?
Checkmate.
Let me talk. I'm just saying, of course, in any organization, there's shitty people. You can take that in a business. People get fucked at work. You go anywhere. People like to have sex in general. I don't think the church is special. You
Yeah,
got good people and bad people.
I guess what I'm saying is
But I think that the impression people have of the church and Sunday sessions, not Sunday sessions,
Yeah.
Sunday school or whatnot, is that it's
that's after church.
is that it's still that would never ever happen.
Yeah, and my argument would be is that it's no more or less likely to happen than going to the bar on Saturday night, church.
Yeah, I could see that. I do think
That's
a lot of
all.
girls go to church to look for a husband. But don't
And
worry.
I know.
But don't worry, they
and
won't
I-
find him there.
If I ever Aikio'd women like you're talking about, I would go to church.
But I know that I know that guys go there to look for women.
Same thing, man. Yeah.
My dad used to do that. My dad told
Yeah,
me that
but-
when I was growing up. He's like, son, you want to go find a good girl? You go to church on a Sunday.
Yeah,
You just
It's like-
put the chairs away. This kind of crap.
Yeah. And a simple won't even care if you have kids or not. He'll just take the whole deal. Whole litter, the whole thing.
Oh, that's what they hear. Here, we gotta keep.
They're afraid of their own fatherhood, afraid of their own fertility. But listen to what John Paul II said. When he was a bishop here in Krakow, he gave a retreat to college students. And this is what he said to the men. He said, God, who is Father, who is Creator, has planted a reflection of his creative strength and power within man. And we should sing hymns of praise to God the Creator for this reflection of himself, not only in our souls, but also in our bodies. This truth is what will set us free. And so we need to face our fears. Don't be afraid of giving yourself. That's the way to find yourself. Women, what is it you fear? Well, some women are afraid, well, I might get rejected. I'm not worth being pursued. I'm not worth being loved. And as a result, you settle for less than love. And our challenge to you is never enter a relationship looking for the love that only God himself can give to you. Because then the relationship will become an idol. And every idol is meant to be broken. C.S. Lewis even said that every idol will break the heart of its worshiper. And so we need to honestly face our fears and place our trust in Christ. The fourth challenge we would extend to you to save your marriage before you meet your spouse: keep the relationship pure. Resist the temptation to think, well, look, I've never felt this way about a girl before. We're not 13 years old anymore. We've been together for 2 years. We can do this stuff together. But the fact is, the duration of your relationship is not a justification to sin. The intensity of our current emotions is not an indication of the destiny of that relationship. In fact, the longer you've been with someone, the more intensely you feel in love, the more invested you should be to lead this person to heaven. It's not about following all these rules so you don't go to hell. It's about wanting heaven for the person that you love. Amen? And so we need to realize that Christ wants to come into this relationship to enable us to love each other better. And this is why Pope John Paul II said chastity can only be thought of in association with the virtue of love. It frees us to love, and it frees us to know if we're being loved. Perfect example. I was speaking at a public high school in Texas, and after the talk, a girl came to me, and she's dating this controlling, abusive older guy that treats her like garbage. I said, sweetheart, you deserve a lot better. Break up with him. She said, I can't break up with him. I've given him everything. I said, look, I understand. Just tell him you're going to do no more sexual stuff with him and see what happens. She said, okay, I'll try that. She took her necklace off and gave it to me. She said, he makes me wear this. He's so possessive. I said, okay, I'll throw it away for you. And she left. 5 minutes later, she came back. She said, I dumped him. I said, that was quick. She said, yeah, I told him no more sex. He slammed it.
Absolutely right, starting with God. A lot of men find themselves infuriated by the fact that they did everything right. They went to church every Sunday. They did it right by the book. And then they get cheated on, or they get divorced and they lose half their shit. And they put all their trust, my father did this too, put all his trust in God. All of it. And literally, all he did was get cheated on, had to marry my mom twice. She took him through custody court, damn near bankrupt him, trying to take us away from him, like not being able to see him, charged him with sexual molestation, like the whole fucking nine. Have my stepdad sneak him, jump him in front of us on Christmas in the front yard. Like, dude, the whole fucking thing. And he had all his trust in God, and he got let down. And that's why I'm so adamant. I didn't mean to cut you off earlier. I apologize.
Okay.
But I know this firsthand for a fact. I've literally seen it. And so, yeah, he's dead on, except for the fact that God, even especially God, finds men in a scenario where they're, I don't know what he said, like their God has let them down.
So question. Have you noticed when he was talking how when the woman, like when they're talking about the girl, she's always the victim? Like even when he's talking about it in the speech, he's saying things like, oh, she's just afraid of not being loved, or like da 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 da.
Right, yeah.
But I'm like, sometimes like they just like they're horny, like like they want to have sex too. And I feel like in church, like they a lot of times they take all the accountability off the women.
Oh, absolutely.
For ending up in like bad situations.
Right.
And
Well,
they
I
put it
mean,
all-
in all fairness, I think that Christianity is the reason society exists.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even be able to make this video without Christianity.
yeah,
Because
I agree.
the fear that was pushed into us, like we were really acting like a bunch of fucking monkeys, and we used fear and religion and God to get our shit together.
Well, the way I look at Christianity is like because Christianity exploded throughout Europe, right? That's where it
Right.
got its foothold, right? Europe, who were the Europeans before Christianity kind of had a foothold? Bunch of fucking barbarians.
Exactly.
Like Germanic tribes, Vikings, like the English, they were fucking mental.
Right.
Right? You had all these dudes like waging war with each other, going like battling, raping and pillaging and shit.
Right.
And then Christianity comes along, and it's like this directed, like a guiding force. You know, like imagine you have like I think I told
It's
this
energy in one direction.
this analogy I gave
Yeah.
you before. Imagine like
We were talking about this the other night.
yeah, like sprinkling like a bunch of gunpowder all over the ground and then lighting it on fire. It's like a little
Putting it in
crackle
a
everywhere,
shotgun,
right?
yeah.
But you put that same gunpowder into a barrel, and you can direct something in a direction. So Christianity is like this thing that kind of puts
Consolidated.
it tampers all these kind of base instincts of man, and then channels it into civilization and family instead. But the problem is that doesn't work without the barbarian nature behind it, without the gunpowder,
Which goes
which
to
we
what-
don't have anymore.
What also goes to what I always say is that every man invents, builds, and maintains everything in this world.
Okay.
Every man gets out of bed every morning in pursuit of a woman. So he goes to work and lays brick, or he invents a airplane, or he invents the internet, or an iPhone, or whatever. That, at the end of the day, that drive, that force that's coming out of him, is testosterone, and that testosterone is driving him towards reproduction.
Okay.
Without doubt, that's the reason. That's the reason I still get out of bed every morning. It's the reason he gets out of bed every morning. The end. There's no doubt about that. So what he's saying is absolutely true. Now, what I do also think about Christianity that's very interesting to me is right after all the raping and pillaging, there was this time, and you might know this more than me, where having multiple wives, or like one guy at the top mostly got all the women. And what I think Christianity really fixed is that now, in exchange for your work and that life energy, we will give you a woman.
Everyone is guaranteed a woman.
You are guaranteed a woman now, which keeps everybody working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it stops
You
them.
see what I'm
But and more importantly, it stops the hordes of men
That are
from
gonna
rebelling
rape
against
and
the
all these
people in
other things,
power.
yeah.
Because like you get a
Right.
whole horde of
Because
population.
even a king needs a group of men to work.
Yeah. But if they ain't getting laid, they ain't getting any pussy. And
Right.
he's getting all of it.
Yeah,
They're gonna
yeah.
get angry at
I'm
him.
gonna tell you right now, if I couldn't get pussy anymore, I would just lay up. I might start smoking weed every day and playing video games, bro. Why?
Yeah.
Why? You get nothing at the end of I'm gonna go through all this stress for what?
Money?
To do what?
To do what? Why do men want money?
What is the point? What's the
Why do men want money?
I'd be wanting to get
Because-
Chipotle every day and just afford
Oh,
that.
dude, but here's the thing though. If that's what I wanted, then I could simply move out in the middle of the mountains in Montana and go deer hunting every day and plant a little corn and be straight. Or I could just live off the government.
Yeah.
So you're your primary motivation in building something is like,
Every man.
is to
Every man.
okay is to
You gave me the Jack Daniels.
no, look at is for women to get the highest quality woman you can, or multiple wives.
It's not
I think
it's not a logical
Yeah, it's not
thing.
it's not
But you know that internally it's
Yeah.
the same, because it's the same drive.
Yeah.
you don't have a vision board of it or
No.
any shit
Yeah.
like that.
I just
It-
wonder-
that's where it's coming from though.
Yeah.
It's seeded in us.
I just wonder because a lot of times I feel like I naturally I'm very creative, and so when I am doing something I just like building stuff, but that's a very masculine thing, I think. So I always wonder why that is, because
Why you like building things?
no, like a lot of the stuff I like is just very masculine, like the space in
In-
YouTube.
In what way?
And I don't know, I always think of girls that will start companies are usually very masculine, you know what I mean? And I'm starting a business now, so I always wonder if women have a natural inclination to build shit the same way men do.
I don't think that's it's not
No,
comparable.
I think
Yeah.
it's a hustle culture. I think it's part of the times. I think it's the bad bitch
Yeah.
narrative.
Yeah.
I don't think it's,
Like
it's
you're also in a position in a society now where you kind of have to do something for yourself.
Yeah.
Because
because men can get pussy all the time.
well,
Yeah.
and and rewind the clock 100 years ago, you weren't able to work or get an education.
Yeah.
So it's okay, you have to depend upon your father
Yeah.
until you have a husband,
Yeah.
right?
I still do kind of. I run everything through my dad.
Good, as you should.
Good,
It's
good
incredible.
man.
Literally, every business decision I make, I think my dad wishes I called him less.
I think that's beautiful.
Not for him. He's like, why are you calling me again? Here.
His locker shut. He threw a book at me. He said, "Where's your necklace?" She said, "I gave it to the chastity guy." But give it up. But you see what happened though is she tested his love. Like, do you love me? Do you want me? Or do you only want the pleasure that you're getting at my expense? Because the fact is, what you win a person with is what you keep him with. If you win him with pleasure, here's the problem. Pleasure is repeatable. They can get that from others, from the internet, from the world. But the fact is, the human person is unrepeatable. So if you win him with who you are, the relationship is more likely to last. And to practice this chastity as you get closer to marriage. Don't live together before marriage. People say, oh, well, you gotta live together. You gotta know if you're compatible. Man, trust me on this one. If you're a guy and she's a girl, you are not compatible. I figured that out like 5 days into marriage, man. Look, think about it. Where does the word compatible come from? Compatible comes from Latin, compati, which means to suffer with. Lasting marriages aren't because you fit so perfectly. Lasting marriages is because you're willing to work at your marriage when marriage gets tough. That's what makes marriages last. And don't think of chastity, and don't think of chastity as something you practice until you get married. No, chastity holds marriages together. That reverence you have for the gift of sexuality. The understanding that our children are the supreme gift of marriage. And if we need to plan our kids, we listen to the church. We use natural family planning. And what they taught me is my wife's body is perfect. She doesn't need drugs. She doesn't need chemicals. She doesn't need barriers. You know what my wife's body needs? Is to be understood. And if we can understand her body, then instead of suppressing it with chemicals to conform to our desires, we conform our desires to the perfect way that God has already created her body. This is sexual liberation. And this beauty, this richness of the church's teachings is what sets us free. I just watched a DVD flying out here that the Knights of Columbus did on Pope John Paul II, Liberating a Continent. It's a great DVD, watch it. And in it, someone said that in a private conversation, Pope John Paul II was asked that if the scriptures were all taken away and you could only salvage one verse from the Bible, what would the verse be? Without missing a beat, he said, "And the truth will set you free." And if you feel you've been enslaved by lies for long enough, and you think, oh my goodness, I've already made all these mistakes, the truth is that he makes all things new. And to prove it to you, having come with me is my bride, Kristalina, so please give her a warm welcome. Come on up, hon.
So in about 2 years, any American or any Western man, at about 2 years of dating a woman in adulthood, you start to, like her friend comes over, her dad has something to say. When you go put a ring on it, boy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah, but we can't fuck? Get the fuck out of here.
So, would you guys wait for marriage for a virgin?
Well, I wouldn't get married
No, I'd
in the
never get
Western
married.
world.
Oh, so you guys won't ever get married?
No, I'll have kids and I'll have women I love, but I will never.
Because what's
actually
more
get married.
important, getting married or having a family that has love in it?
Okay.
Because I know what that experience is like. I know what's on the other end of it.
Oh, you've been married?
And it's shitty. It's just no. I'm saying like everyone knows the laws and shit here, right?
Yeah.
So it's a shitty bargain for men.
Yeah.
Like
It's a bad deal.
here's
What if they change the laws? Would you guys then consider
well, okay.
married?
Let me tell you. Here's the reason. Here's the bargain that marriage was supposed to guarantee. It was supposed to guarantee, and this is again ties back to my point before about when Christianity kind of took over Europe. It basically guaranteed, okay, you are going to commit yourself to this one woman. You are 100% guaranteed autonomy over your family, and that kid will be yours. And if it ain't, then her life is literally in your hands. That was the deal.
Okay.
That deal has been broken a
Okay.
long time
A long
ago.
time ago.
So where is the benefit from actual legitimate legal marriage to a man in the West? Does not exist.
I'll tell you what the benefit is. The benefit is for consumerism. 30 to 50 to 100 to $250,000 weddings.
Yeah.
gender reveal parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm all about having kids and stuff like that with family, but it's the commercialism in marriage that really keeps it going. Because I don't really find
Well, it keeps-
marriage to be very religious.
keeps
They're
society-
religious, but they're not true.
It keeps society reinforcing the idea.
I just think it's like better for families to be in like a lifelong commitment with
But
one person.
I don't,
Like,
But say nothing about
I don't
that.
disagree with that.
Yeah,
Don't disagree with that.
Don't disagree.
You can
Change your name.
You can be in a lifelong commitment with a woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need
just
the government getting involved with it
Yeah.
with a paper. Though.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that.
Buy her a
I-
ring.
but-
Yeah,
Buy a ring, do the whole 9.
yeah.
well, I think like
Have a ceremony.
I could get
Do a
behind.
ceremony, yeah.
Yeah, I could get behind like getting the government out. Like I'm more conservative, so I could like
Sure.
see getting the government out of it. But I just think like, as a girl, like I would have a hard time being with a guy that like wouldn't want to get married.
Because you see that as you see the marriage as this be all end all symbol of his commitment.
No, I just see it as something that worked well for my parents. They had 10 kids and like built a multi-million-dollar business based off of their marriage. So I just see what worked for them.
Yeah, but time
And-
out. But here's the thing, though. Your father building a multi-million-dollar business is a 1%er.
Well, he wasn't when they started, and
Right,
like my
but
mom
he-
helped him.
it doesn't
So
matter,
they
though.
did
he's,
each
Here's-
other.
he's a statistical
Yeah.
outlier because
He
won.
was a 1%er when he had nothing. You see? And so he probably has a 1% marriage as well, because he's probably a 1% man.
Yeah,
You see?
He
If
is-
not,
he's
you wouldn't
probably-
be taking advice from him today.
yeah. He's the exception to the rule.
He is the
I think.
exception to the rule. And
Obviously, a good role model, but it's
Yeah, incredible.
but like the vast majority of marriages just aren't that good.
and in all fairness, how old is your father?
My dad's 50, I don't know, 55,
Perfect.
56.
So he grew up in a zeitgeist where that was the only answer. If your father was 35 and had abundance of choice, he's probably tall because you're tall. Tall, handsome, made money, abundance of choice, and had Instagram on his phone,
Yeah.
I would challenge you that your father would not be able to do it in 2022. And I mean that in no disrespect.
No, my dad doesn't, like, my dad's just different. Like, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't have social media. Like, my dad's just, like, the type of guy that doesn't, like, live that life. Like, he just is the
I
type
get
of
it.
guy to, like, get a wife,
But,
get a piece
but
of land.
what I'm
and,
saying
like,
is
live on
like
it, yeah.
his morals and values
Oh, he was from the time.
Yeah,
are
Oh, okay.
time driven.
Yeah.
So like you know how you always hear people like these kids today and blah 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 blah. I always disagree with that, no matter who says it, even if I say it about younger people younger than me, because you have to understand that each generation has what Robert Greene calls in the Laws of Human Nature a zeitgeist, and that's from 15 to 20 years. We all kind of believe in the same things, kind of see the world the same way, like the same architecture style, movies, etc., based off when we were born. So I think there's a huge difference between being born like let's say 1986 and like 1993. Huge. Because what happened in the middle of our zeitgeist was the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Instagram.
Yeah.
And so what I always say to people that are talking bad about that generation right behind them is that generation right behind you has a whole different set of problems than you've ever experienced. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
my father would be like, "Well, son, don't you think you just want to get one woman and get married?" And I'm like, "Dad, I'll open my Instagram. I'm like, in my inbox, and he's like, well, I mean, what are you gonna say? You know what I'm saying? Because if he'd have been sitting in Oxford, Mississippi, farming cotton
Yeah.
in his tractor, and he had a cell phone, which he did not have a cell phone,
Yeah.
and he would have looked down, and he's like, well, that Instagram model wants me. Like he would have been
Well,
like,
but it's also the situations you choose to put yourself in. So no, for example,
Okay.
like women are hypergamous, right?
Yeah.
And if I wanted, like, I could put myself in like situations where I'm drunk and like I could sleep with like the highest value or like guy
Right.
I could sleep with, right?
But that's a good strategy.
But no, it's not a strategy. You just choose like not to like put your I just choose not to put myself in certain situations that like I think could lead to something bad, and I feel like that's like part of.
But what does that have to do with the choice? Because all you're doing is making the choice way over here instead of when it actually could have gone down.
Yeah, preempting
but
it.
that's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, it's a preemptive choice. It's the same reason I would like. If
you're
a
aware-
girl's like, if a girl cheated on me ever, it was like, oh, it's because I was drunk. No, but you got drunk knowing that's what
Right,
would happen.
right,
I would
but
never take
that's
that
what I'm
excuse.
saying. Like I'm not saying I'm saying you like people have different values based on like what situations they put themselves in. So even a guy like he could have the natural urge to like screw as many girls as possible, but he like certain guys choose not to put themselves in those situations. The same way girls have the natural urge to sleep with the highest value guy they possibly
I'm glad you
can.
said that.
But you don't put yourself in certain situations.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of times as a man, I like, I mean, how do I put this to you? Sometimes I don't even like walking around Miami because it tortures a man to see so much titty and ass. So if it were up to me, I would not see those women. Like I would literally, they would like disappear from my consciousness. I've said this a million times. If I could push a button and fall absolutely in love with an 800-pound unattractive woman, I would hit the button because I think my net worth would go out the roof and I'd have true happiness because I was already in love. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, and you wouldn't have to deal with
And it
other
tortures
guys.
a man.
Like, yeah.
Guys like this guy, he's actually using Jesus to supplement and make himself feel better. You know what I'm saying? And I think as humans we do that. We take some morals and values and we can help justify and calm like feelings we have. Like, but if this dude could get the women that are in his phone, he'd put the Bible down and fly to Miami.
But I think it's just like this, again, the situations you choose, like, because no one has to have social media, you know,
Right.
like, so that's a choice.
Right.
So, and like putting yourself in situations where you're going to be tempted is a choice. So I think a lot of church culture isn't necessarily saying like men, well, I don't agree with 100, but the way I look at church culture is like, not that men don't have that urge, they definitely do, but like, you can put yourself in situations to give you the outcome that you want. So if a guy wants to be monogamous, like he can put himself in situations where he's not tempted.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
that's
but
one of the
I see
things
that.
I think like my parents.
But he also is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's one of the things I think my parents like marriage has like lasted so long is like neither of them drank and they both like don't have social media really. So it's like I just think they keep themselves out of situations.
I guess I'm just arguing is that
Yeah.
sometimes you removing temptation is a person's strategy
Oh yeah.
to not
yeah.
fulfill an urge.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I don't
yeah.
keep sugar in the house,
Oh yeah.
but I fucking love some sugar and I want some.
Yeah.
Right.
Me too.
And that's my only point.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
okay.
saying.
Yeah. I like ice cream. That's like my thing. Okay, wait.
Besties.
Okay, we should go to where the girl talks. Okay.
So 'cause there's two organisations here in the background. Let me ask this before you play it. I want to ask because I could see there was two things. One was like chastityforlife.org or something, and the other one was like something like Women Anew or something. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that the second one is something about like being a born again virgin and women like who are hoeing around who are trying to. Am I correct in that assumption? Is that what the organisation is?
Well, that's what the. Here, I'm gonna just show you the girl's part. I think that's.
Smell this bitch a mile away.
I think this is the.
Hello, everyone. Okay. Hello, World Youth Day. Okay, now, most of my life, I never really felt enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't lovable enough. And at a very young age, my father left, and I really didn't know him all of my life. Actually, I haven't known him. And with that, I learned that love doesn't last. And I learned that at a very young age. And that translated into my relationships in high school. And I ended up losing my virginity. I was 15 thinking I was going to find love. This is it. This is love. And I was very broken. I felt very used. And after a while, I got into partying. I got into the drinking. You name it, I was into it. And I took everything the world had to offer, and I was left with nothing but my own slavery to my own sin, my wounds and my own disgust. And I thought, well, it's too late, right? What's done is done. I can never go back. And after a while of living this crazy lifestyle, my mother, she comes up to me and she says, Kristalina, there's a chastity talk, and you're going to it. And I laughed at her. I said, no, I'm not going to some chastity talk. Ha! And she says, you're going if you like it or not. And I thought, okay, I don't want to lose my car for the weekend. I'll go to her little talk. I'll sit for 15 minutes. I'm out of there. I got places to go, people to see. And in that 15 minutes that I thought I was going to sit there, God had just changed my life. There was a guy who was very honest, blunt, and real. He talked about all of the girls, all the sex, all the pornography, everything that he had been into. He just laid it out. And I felt like he had walked through my life and he had grabbed my hand out of that audience. And he could see the things I was most ashamed of and hiding. And I thought, what's the difference? He's done the same exact things I've done. And I just watched him. And he just had this peace and this joy and this confidence that he carried about himself that I didn't see that in my friends, the places I went to, the guys that I was dating. But he had one quality above all of them, that I wanted more than anything, and it's that he wasn't ashamed of himself. I sat in my seat trying to find one day that I hadn't been ashamed of myself, and I couldn't find one. A single day of just true peace and joy, not worried what I had done prior that night, prior that worry, always worried, but never any peace. And I realized in that moment I needed to get my standards out of the gutter and raise them as high as I possibly could and start respecting my body and start respecting God. Now, granted, I didn't become a saint overnight, but I had a massive conversion, and all of the sexual sins in my life completely came to a screeching halt. Now, I got into missionary work and eventually ended up meeting Jason, and 3 years later, we got married. Now, when we got married, I had this misconception that all of my baggage, all of my wounds, I was going to leave outside of the church and walk down that aisle, and we would live happily ever after. Little fairy tale, right? Imagine for one moment that when I heard that guy, I would say, and I had my conversion, I said, oh, that's cute. That's sweet. But, not right now. I'm having too much fun. Maybe later I'll turn my life around. Imagine if I would have said that. I know with all of my heart, my 9 children now never would have come into existence. We have 2 babies in heaven. I know with all my heart, I never would have married Jason. He probably would have wanted to counsel me, not marry me when I met him. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today if I didn't give Jesus that yes. And in some way, shape, or form, Jesus is asking you, come to me. Will you love me? Will you let me heal you? It doesn't matter what your past is. It doesn't matter who you are, where you've been, what you've done. He does not care, and his grace will abound. But just go to him and let today be that starting point. Doesn't matter who you are, where you've been, what you've done. But all that matters right now is where you go from here. God bless you.
Here is their look, I don't know anything about these 2 people, but I'm gonna read these motherfuckers like a book. So I already called this. I bet this organization is about taking women who are hoes and trying to make them feel better and bring them to Jesus and born again virgin.
Featuring this bitch.
Featuring this hoe, okay?
Yeah.
And I guarantee, they're both justifying their own shitty strategies. He is a dude who
Can't get pussy,
didn't get any pussy, and he's running around saying, look how fucking virtuous I am,
right.
Because I can't get any pussy, you should be like me. He's trying to justify his own shitty results.
Yep. Suppression wrapped in love.
Right? She is trying to justify
all that
her own shitty dicks that she driving, and is like, no, I'm holier than thou. Yep. Like, you can't fuck around, you woman in the crowd. I can, but I'm reformed because I went for Jesus. It's this hypocritical bullshit I can't fucking stand.
Yeah, it is very hypocritical. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why I say, it's a bad... why are we having these girls, give the speeches? Because you're basically saying, girls, ladies, you can do whatever you want, and there'll still be a husband waiting for you.
They're absolutely... But here's the deal. Yeah. There will be.
That's the point.
But he's going to be trash, you're going to marry him, and you're going to leave him. Oh, yeah, exactly, bro.
You're still going to cheat on him.
It's like, it's not rocket science, it's a fucking pattern.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if she would have ran into this fucking Turbo Chad dude, she would have never slept with the second or the third or the fourth, or she's not as intelligent as you, and she would have saw the dissonance between them and the fact that quarterback wasn't going to be her boyfriend. But she thought that he really wanted her because she's a dumbass. Now she's a dumb hoe. I'll say hoe now. And she couldn't see the dissonance, and so she just went through the whole team. And now that Jesus has come into the situation, she found a new daddy because it's the only daddy that won't leave.
So I have a question, okay? Because I'm a very empathetic person.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I could see girls are forced to make decisions a lot younger than men. You turn 14 and 15 and you're flooded with attention.
Yeah.
There's a lot of girls that don't have dads around. You know what I'm saying? To help them filter through guys, make those decisions.
Right.
So if a girl's in a situation where that's what she chose to do, but she was fit, you've done stupid shit at 15,
sure.
right?
I do stupid shit now.
Yeah. And so it's what's the balance between being I'm not saying girls should be a born again virgin, but it's hard because part of me feels like girls can learn from their mistakes because some girls just aren't in a good situation. But at the same time,
argue it's not the dad being absent though.
It's a weak dad. half the time too.
Yeah.
A girl can have a father and he can be a very weak man.
I think that hoes come in all forms. I think it's the wrong information.
Yeah, I would
think it's
agree.
the wrong information because we raise children
Mm-hmm.
in schools off of the education which is broken, and then we teach them about love and relationships in places like church instead of giving them red pill information about how we're wired.
Yeah,
to
here's
act.
like the brutal, honest truth
brutal, honest
of human
truth,
nature
right.
is completely like ignored and we pretend like that isn't who we are.
Right, right.
And then we put this facade on the surface of it, which is this kind of
and
stuff.
we use manipulation tactics to try to fix it,
Yeah.
like fear, fire and brimstone, etc.
So what's like a girl in her situation? Like, cause I see both sides because like, what's a girl in her situation supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like,
Look,
does she
it's
just
tough.
give it away for free
Well,
forever?
zeitgeist wise, I don't even blame this woman.
No,
I don't blame her. She just like
she's
I
a
don't-
she's a product of her time.
I don't even blame my father
Yeah.
for what happened. He had only information he had was the Bible or church, right? And this woman here, same thing. She made all these mistakes because she didn't have any education on how it actually works. And so in her pursuit of finding how it actually works, this was the best thing that she had. I feel bad for her just as much.
You know what?
Okay.
But it's the same.
So you think she did what she should have done? Like, would you say?
I think
that's
she
a-
did all she could do.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Like it's the same
Definitely.
exact situation. Like
Okay.
women, like you take this kind of brutally honest perspective we're putting on this woman's life, right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's
Like
super sad.
I have sympathy for it. It's like, well, that sucks, and it sucks because she can't. Here's the difference.
She
between-
can't like she
She
lost
can't
her
take
value.
she can't take
yeah.
the dicks back,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? The difference between a man and woman, right?
Yeah.
But you look at all the guys who kind of stumble into say the red pill space in their 40s or 50s, right? They've lived their whole life according to a bad roadmap,
Right.
and now
That's what creates a rage.
that creates rage.
Yeah.
But they have a choice. The man at least can fucking do something about it.
Can make it better.
He can actually take the next 20 years of his life and make them fucking amazing. Unfortunately, she can't take back the dicks.
Yeah.
But that is just an unfortunate reality of our biological situations. They're different. And like, we're not all going to get out of this alive.
Yeah.
There's winners and there's
Darwinism,
losers. That's nature. Nature is
Metal.
raw.
Nature is metal.
That's an Instagram account. You should go
Yeah.
follow it.
Yeah, it's badass.
Okay. So you do think then in that situation that's like what she should have done?
It's what she did.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
it's
You know?
No,
Like,
I
she
just.
did.
What she should. I mean, look, like,
Like,
in that,
'cause
like,
to
in,
me, it depends how hot she is. If she can get away with it.
wait. So if she's super hot,
Like, if she was
can
30
keep,
pounds-
she can keep hoeing around.
No, I mean
and
like the born again virgins. It only works for the hot chicks.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see
Yeah,
what
but,
you're saying.
cute-
hold on.
cute
but,
out, like-
but at the same time, in all fairness, men that are allowed to cheat on their girl only happens to the high level dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So again, it goes back to
Like,
nature's metal and
yeah.
life's a bitch.
Yeah.
Understanding the rules and you make your own decisions.
Yeah.
I don't think this is like a bad person or anything. I think that
No.
she only had a certain amount of information and she had this thing that could validate all those feelings she had towards what she did.
Because what's the alternative here?
that's what I
What
think
is the
about
alternative? Like,
for
I
her.
mean,
If I was her, I'd claim to the Bible too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like for him and for her,
Oh, yeah.
because the alternative is to accepting reality
Yeah.
that you fucked up and you're a loser.
Particularly
That is
him.
the alternative.
Particularly
Which is,
him.
no one wants to hear that.
Okay, so but it's like pushing being a hoe because you're building a career based off of being a hoe. And no,
I'll
seriously.
tell you,
So
like-
she's saying sleep with who you want, okay? Then after you'll still get a husband. This is the high value guy I'm with,
Yeah.
okay? And on top of that, you can make a bunch of money, travel the US, talk to high schoolers and tell them not to do what you did. Even though what you did just built your career.
The kind of
Right.
girl who should be leading this kind of a seminar is like my friend's, you know who I'm talking about, his wife.
Yeah.
She's maybe been with like 2 or 3 guys, but always with the intention of I want to find a husband.
Yeah.
And that was when she was like a teenager, like
Yeah.
there weren't real like boyfriend,
Yeah.
like adult boyfriends, right?
Yeah.
And she'll say this herself. She's like, women aren't prepped to be wives these days. Like a 16-year-old girl today isn't thinking, who am I going to marry in 2 years' time?
Yeah.
They're not thinking that, right? They were thinking that a few hundred years ago. They absolutely were thinking that, but now they ain't thinking that.
50.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So that she should be like running these kind of seminars and teaching these women like,
No, I
how are you
agree.
going to raise your daughters?
I agree.
Because you probably fucked up. If you're a middle-aged woman in this crowd who's coming here for this advice. Cool. Here's what you should do. Here's how you vet a man for marriage. Now, more importantly, your daughters. You need to drill this into them from a very, very young age so that generational thing doesn't keep fucking happening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I see both sides because on one hand, I have a lot of empathy for those girls, but like, because I was really lucky, I had a good dad, and I know that I have girls all the time on here, but I do disagree. Like, I think girls are more likely to make those decisions if they don't have like a strong masculine like father in the picture.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me, but I think what you want to do as a father, and I've actually put a lot of deep thought into this because I've had questions come through my Instagram after I've made YouTube videos. It's like, well, what happens if you have a daughter? And I had to think about this very deeply. And my answer to that is I'm going to educate her on how the world really works.
Yeah.
I'm going to love her regardless. She can be a lesbian, and I'll still love her. What I want for my daughter and my sons is to educate them fully with the real world knowledge of how this thing actually works. And then I want them to take that information and go create choice.
I agree with you.
And if my daughter has all the information and she so chooses to be a hoe or a lesbian or to very, very meticulously vet based off the information I've given her what the dude will look like, the little bitty things that she'll be able to call out and know, then I just want her to have choice. If she wants to do the foam cannon party thing and run her notch count up to 3 and then hold out, whatever she wants to do, I'm going to love her regardless. But my job is to educate her, be impactful, lessen more than I want to be around. I want to be impactful as a father.
Yeah.
And Andrew talks about this a lot, and I completely resonate with this. You want to be impactful, and a part of that impactfulness is when you're there, but it's also in the education you give her to understand how this world really spins, and then love her through whatever choice she decides to take. So that's it, man. That's how I'm going to raise my daughters and my boys.
And your boys. I think that's good. Like, I don't think parents that control get the best outcomes. Like, my parents were really not controlling.
Well, a lot of parents are because it's the only thing in their life that they do control.
Yeah.
Which makes them unqualified to speak on the subject anyway.
And they don't know how to convince they don't know how to set it up in such a way that their kids don't make the same shitty mistakes they made. They can't. They have to control them out of making a shitty choice rather than philosophizing and explaining them how that shitty choice.
It's really like, as they're trying to control them, it really pushes them away.
From that influence. How many sluts
Yeah.
come out of Catholic schools?
Dude, yeah.
Dude, the number of women that I work with
Because you suppress them.
who came from a Catholic school or a Mormon upbringing.
Right.
Ridiculous amount of
Dude,
Mormons
I'm
and
telling you,
Catholics in
that's why I'm
Mormon.
so big on Salt Lake, bro.
So many.
I love Salt Lake. Because here's what's happening. They grow up and they realize the whole thing was bullshit. And they feel tricked.
Yep. And they're like, making up for lost time now.
Yep. And then it's on.
I don't know. I feel like my school wasn't like, we were always better than the public schools. We always were. The school I went to, but I have heard that a lot. I've heard it enough that I have to believe it. But
And the other thing that Catholic girls do and Muslim girls do this exact same thing as well, because they've got the loophole is anal sex.
Yeah. We call them butthole virgins.
Yeah.
Oh hell.
Because
no.
I'm still a virgin.
Oh, hell
I'm still a
no.
virgin.
They take it up the ass.
They took it up the butt.
No, that was
They
super
all
common.
do this.
Dude, in high school that was super common. These girls, they take it in the ass. I'm like, this is dumb as shit.
And the irony is like that's a bigger.
That's an upgrade.
It's a better thing for a dude. Like it's better. Like the number of wives out there who ain't taking dicks in the ass for their husband.
No, I don't
It's
like anal,
ridiculous.
actually.
I fucking love it. I'm a pervert.
Yeah, I don't like anal. It's just like, it doesn't feel as good. Like, let's not cheat ourselves. It's like Czech
No,
cola
it feels-
version.
it
It's
feels
the Czech
better.
cola
Feels
version
way
of pussy,
better.
bro.
Feels
No,
way
no,
better.
it doesn't,
Feels
bro.
way
It's shit.
better.
Literally.
We disagree a lot.
Yeah, all the time. That's real friendship, though. Yeah, we love each other so much we'll argue about things. Not to be right individually, but to win collectively.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, you can.
What sex is it's not comparable to normal sex, bro. Get out.
Yeah, it's not comparable because it's better. Anyway.
So, okay.
I bet she was a butthole virgin for a
See?
little while. She got her virgin card back, and then she went around church slinging.
And I'll tell you
butthole out.
what, I bet he hasn't fucked her in the butt.
I bet he hasn't. You know why? Because that dude, that Chad quarterback in high school, took
He
it.
did, and he did it ruthlessly,
Yep.
and she hated it.
Yep, and now she dreams about him.
Yeah.
Well,
It was a great episode.
Okay, okay, so what do you guys think? Are we gonna chastity moving forward for you guys? Did I convince you?
Yes, I've turned it in.
Yes.
I'm a V card again.
Okay.
I need a new
So-
V
Wow.
card.
So we have Stirling as the new born again virgin.
virgin born-
So to clarify this whole video, her end result is correct. It's the means and the why that is wrong.
Okay.
What we should tell women is explain to them, listen, if you go sleeping with a bunch of men, God's not going to come down and throw you in hell and burn you to death for eternity. However, you're going to set yourself up in a way that's not really conducive to you finding the kind of man, the kind of having the kind of family,
Fulfillment,
living
happiness.
and the kind of life, yes, exactly, that you really want. And for that reason, you shouldn't go around sleeping
Well,
with a bunch of men.
I think actually women, I think hoes get wifed up faster than prudes in a lot of cases. But I think the damage is more internal because those girls can't be happy with the guy that they have.
Yeah, they're never happy. They're leaving.
Even if he's a good dude,
Yeah.
like, because I think a lot of hoes end up getting, like, I've seen it where they get good dudes that like a lot of girls would be happy to be married to, but because of what they did, they just can't be happy with him.
Yeah.
So I think the damage.
He's not
is-
exciting enough.
Like a lot of guys nowadays will look like they don't care. And then it's sad, but it's just like if I ask guys on my show all the time, would you marry a virgin? Do you want a virgin? They all say no. I've never had a guy say yes.
I'll take a virgin.
Yeah. Okay.
Right,
You
all
guys
day.
would be the first.
All day. Why would you?
Why would I not want to take a virgin?
Why would you?
I agree with you.
I'm
Like,
like-
I think it's best if like both are like just personal. I think it's best for both.
I completely disagree with that.
Statistically, like that's the longest
You
marriage.
think it's best for a man to be a virgin? When you...
I think if
Because I don't
this
think
could be a whole
I don't
debate.
think of really quickly. I don't think a virgin man. Okay, these days, right? I don't think a virgin man has the wherewithal, the knowledge about women, the charm necessary to attract a virgin woman.
Well, I would
it's
even
just-
add to that and say the woman's not attracted to a virgin man.
But
Well, that's
it's
the
the exact same
longest
reason.
Right, but he's got no game, so it's
The
just a little bit-
longest marriages are between two virgins. Like that's like statistically, if you want to like run the numbers by whose marriages last the longest.
But
it's-
marriage is very clearly a failure in society.
Well,
It's an absolute fucking failure.
it built society,
It built society.
but now
Yeah.
the contract.
But now
has
we
been
have
broken.
laws.
The contract
Yeah.
has been
Now we
broken.
have laws,
Yeah.
and we still use, let's say, female energy as men to go out and build things in the world. That was in the beginning when we were hitting each other with clubs and shit and stabbing each other with swords. Now we just send people to prison for killing or raping or whatever. So we have something that has kind of replaced it, and it is also my opinion that the reason that the left like wants to put a gap in between us, because my beef is not with family, it's just that marriage is bullshit. But if they put a gap between us, now we have twice the workers and twice the tax income for a country, and every country's a business.
That's what.
So
Yeah.
cat food and box wine, baby.
Invest in it.
Yeah, and Tinder. You
Okay,
don't-
so
yeah, invest in Tinder.
so you're gonna be chased from now on.
Now I'm a virgin again,
Ladies,
yes,
ladies,
yes.
stay out of the DMs.
I'll take the virgin card as well. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
All right, virgin for life.
Virgins.
Okay. So you guys are born again virgins.
We came in virgins.
Oh, okay.
It's because we only do anal.
You only stick it in a woman's butt.
Yeah, as long as
so
you
I'm
stick
a
it in their
virgin.
butt.
So I'm a virgin.
Virgin. We're
So-
now butthole virgins.
Well, I'm very happy for you guys that
Thank you.
you've now.
I feel cleansed.
Shout out to the
glad
show.
that's off my chest.
Why don't you tell the people where they can find both of your channels?
You can find me at Jay Waller on YouTube, Jay Waller7 on Instagram, and Waller7J on Twitter.
And you can find me, Stirling Cooper. Just search for that on YouTube. STIRLING is how you spell my name. You'll find me. I'm the first thing that comes up. And on Instagram, I'm at Cooper Stirling, the other way around. And then on Twitter, I'm at Stirling Wisdom.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Guys, you already know the deal. If you've watched 2 or more of my videos and you do not subscribe, we have beef, okay? Beef. That is not cool. A subscribe is free. So hit that subscribe button, like the video on your way out, and I will talk to you guys next time. Wait, you gotta be like, bye.